boys and girls, and people we wish not to offend or not refer to their genders. How are we today? That's great! So you've decided that being an assassin is your thing, and you wish to go out in the rift, but oh no, you can't just go into ranked games and think you'll dominate. There's so many things you need to understand first. But don't worry, we have our handy dandy kitty helper with us today. Kids, say hello to the kitty helper. Hi kitty. Wrong cat, she costs a lot more. Okay, but do I really have to do this? I know I signed a contract, but I didn't think I'd be doing this. You can't help me. Okay. Oh, assassins. They're part of the most hated group in League of Legends, with good reason. Their mobility is unparalleled, their damage output is the fastest and most likely the highest in the game, and their skill flow is very intermediate, and one can play them really well even if they aren't too versed in the character. They just need to use their brain. So for you it will be a bit of a problem. Please practice your characters. Let's start simple. You're an assassin. Your task is to remove a threat before it becomes too much to bear, but ensuring your own survival, since certain characters are already much stronger than you, and can make mincemeat out of you.
Parasite.
Wait for power spikes and level spikes, and you can probably kill anyone you want, but it will be most likely ADCs or marksmen. They're usually the threat we don't want to actually become a threat. But your job cannot be that easily defined. Different matches require different thinking. But who will you be facing? Number 1. Tanks. Depending on your champion and what type of damage you output, your wiggle room varies a lot. For illustration, I'll put down a range between two characters, Yone being the best character to fight a tank, to Fizz, the worst character to fight a tank. Now technically, tanks are supposed to beat assassins, but not in actuality and practicality. Tanks serve as a barrier to stop divers and assassins, but they can only stop divers since they attack from the front, usually, and out in the open. An assassin can just circumvent this first barrier to the backline, but be very careful. CC can and will stop everyone in their tracks. Tanks just need to be dodged if they are not the primary target. Get your hands on that squishy who needs to die. Number 2. Fighters or bruisers. They're an annoying bunch that come equipped with more tools than you, such as being tanky, having hard CC, and lastly not being as ability reliant as you. It's like you versus the guy she told you not to worry about. They can often be a massive thorn to your side, either acting as peel for the squishy you need to kill, or being the very demon necessary to be exercised. With this lot, ask yourself 2 questions. Who do I need to kill, and how does it fit in my Z-bar target? I mean, what does the rest of the enemy team provide? Divers act as such a damage sponge and damage dealer, it's difficult to even think about the enemy team. And with that, I commend you if you thought like that. Divers will destroy in a team fight, but remove their team and they're dead. Unless Riot things. Which requires coordination with your team, to bait the fighter alone and then kill their team and then kill the fighter themselves. Or do that backwards, catch the fighter off guard, then kill them and just win. Sounds simple, but I had a Lee Sin recently show me that being blind isn't a disability. Number 3. Mages. Personally, I hold a lot of contempt for this class. That's all, I'm not justifying myself. Oh yeah, assassins. There's honestly really nothing I can say about them besides don't get hit by their spells and don't run at them unless they're very close by, so you can either try to assassinate quickly or play very slowly. Let them make the mistake, since sometimes human error can be a big factor on why you get kills. Or get killed. I'm not saying hope the mage mispositions. Hope gets you nowhere. But what I do mean is make them more likely to make a mistake than you. Read them, then trick them. That's all you can do sometimes. Also makes you feel smarter than that stupid Syndra. Number 4. Assassins and Skirmishers. You'll most likely find these two the most between any other class besides Marksman. They usually reside mid lane, top lane, and jungle, with the likelihood being in that order. Assassins are squishy threats that need to be dealt with early game, and if you're facing one, it's always a skilled matchup. I don't care what you say, Katarina into Akali is the exact same as Kiana into Katarina. And of course different champions require different approaches, but it will never be a champion diff. And I can't determine the matchup of every single assassin, I only play a handful myself. And if you are both fed, it's the same as two people with a gun. You're both equally matched, but whoever's fastest and better with their weapon wins. Skirmishers. But didn't I just talk about skirmishers? No, I was talking about fighters who are tanky, mobile, and deal a fair amount of damage. Skirmishers just said, can we swap out our tankiness for more damage and defensive abilities? And thus, the biggest headache Riot has ever created was born. Using their ultra mobility and mega damage to beat everyone into submission. Sorry, back on point. As an assassin, you only have 3 choices. Wait for ganks, gank other lanes, or just full out ignore them. I know the first 2 sound reasonable, but the last one catches people off guard. My thinking is because of what pros and challengers say. Why take the risk? If you came here to feel cool, sorry to break the news to you. If you're behind as an assassin, you're dead weight. Cut your losses and farm up. That ADC isn't going to disconnect for no reason. Number 5. Marksmen and Markswomen. I know, finally the people my role is destined for. But calm down, we'll talk about patience later. But you need to know the ins and outs of marksmen. Usually they come with an extra passive called supports, come save my butt, mwah. Unless it's Bard. Some say he's never went back to lane. But your job is functionally to make their lives more difficult and add more mental strain to their small brains. And we're still in champion select. In teamfights, if the ADC is the problem, it's your job to make sure they're less useful, as you are not equipped with any CC spells or zoning tools. You only have one form of CC, and everybody say it with me, murder. And in League of Legends, it's the best kind of CC. And unlike mages, you can full sprint at them and try to kill them, since most don't have any immobilizing abilities or dashes. So many asterisks. But don't bite off more than you can chew. If you failed your burst, you can be served the very medicine you failed to administer, or can be stopped by the enemy team in full, or the ADC flashes, or the support comes in. You get the point. You have a small window, and if you fail to take advantage or make any mistakes, you're dead weight. Number 6. Supports. They're very fun. I can't even put them in a neat little box. They're all over the classifications. Some tanks, some controllers, one's an assassin. Interesting. Okay, so let's break this down or else you'll be ulting Yumi every single fight, and we can't have that. Yet. Depending on which support you're dealing with, your assassination has to be more creative. A Leona or Braum can bomb around the map solo, but have a duty to protect their team. But tanks have already gotten their time in the spotlight. They can be dealt with as same as a normal tank. But remember to watch out for their CC. Here's the bare minimum you need to understand about supports. Most will be hovering their ADC for half the match. After laning phase, they then move to the most fed champion for 2 reasons, both their safety. To simplify the support role, it's basically 50% help the team, or help the fed carry harder, 25% vision, and the last 25% heal, shield, peel, and make the enemies less useful. That last 25% is specifically for you, dear old assassin. So you have a tug of war with the ADC survival, and you have only a fraction of a second to win that war. Oh, how fun. The very idea of people fighting so hard, so futilely, is making me want to ruin more lives. But I'll finish this first. Bait out any CC they have before you pull the trigger. Then... The support is only an afterthought. They are not the priority. But I'm not always saying forget them, they exist. But that Soraka cannot 0 to 100 you, that Zemira can. But that Soraka can also silence you. You have to pay attention to everything. But yes, what an enchanter and a catcher do is very different. Enchanters need no introduction. They are known for their healing, shielding, and buffing. Truly the worst of the worst, play them. Catchers forcibly put somebody in a bad position, so they can be removed. Do not be that someone. Dodge everything and play perfectly, as every human is expected to do. Now we are done talking about how you should react to each class in that list, and I'm ignoring specialists because... Oh, okay? I didn't know... Are you sure they're your people? Okay, if it's that important. It has come to my attention that you have these things called teammates. Well, I guess I can explain how you interact with them since it's a mandatory team game. Why do I waste my life on Riot's terrible balance? Let's go backwards. Supports are very necessary since they provide vision for you and remove enemy vision, allowing you to flank easier. Tank supports are just CC. They can barely tank since they don't have money to buy resistances and such. They make the most opportunities, so treat them well. Catches force opportunities, and by opportunities I mean murder. And finally, enchanters. Oh my goodness, you would be surprised how badly people play with enchanters and continue to blame them for their own mistakes. Please, my assassins, don't be this dumb. They shield, heal, and buff. Please tell me where I said makes miracles happen. They are never the true win condition. They just exacerbate that fact, making it easier to carry. They want to be close enough to you to give you buffs, but not close enough to die. Understand me when I say it's not your job to be mindful of them, but it is very nice to care about your teammates. Let's take 3 enchanters so intimately hated you'd think they're all Nazis. Soraka, Lulu, and Yumi. Soraka and Lulu shine in teamfights, and Yumi makes any good player immortal, but she has her limits. All of them have their limits, so remember that you're not the only one that matters. It's a match. It's a mandatory team game. Stop crying. Marksman and Walkswoman. Honestly, they're necessary as well. I know, heresy. But please listen to me. They will probably do the most damage in the game, so help keep them alive, but in your own special way, by making the enemy forget that they exist since you also do a lot of damage. They'll try to stop you and them at the same time, since from my time of playing Shaco and losing my mind, I know the enemy will attack whatever is in front of them. It's a 50-50, yet they always hit me. Unless you're a non-threat that can be pushed to the side, since killing the ADC will most probably always win them the team fight. I give marksmen flack for existing, but sometimes they're the best things you have. Other assassins and skirmishers. It's unlikely to have multiple assassins in one match, but it can happen, such as mid and jungle, top mid, whatever. But you know you're both working for the same goal, to kill the enemy damage dealers and profit. But remember, kills mean nothing if it ruins any synergy, teamwork, and causes infighting. Don't be a child. If the enemy bot lane gets 5-man ganked and starts spamming in all chat, you've done your one good deed for the day. For skirmishers, treat them like melee ADCs. They're like small children who want to go in. Help them if possible, but your own survival is the most important thing than the ego of that child. Unless that child is a god gamer, then I will die for their survival. Mages. Biases aside, they're usually the other form of CC in your team, so treat them like royalty. Save them if they miss position or get greedy. Surely, they can do no wrong. Jokes aside, they scale harder than you, and unlike an ADC, they're more self-sufficient, so don't baby them. Remember to think about yourself. Also, you look great today, assassin main. Fighters and bruisers. Truly, they don't even think about your existence, since they're too busy getting pentas over there. But ensure they're never alone. Either ask to be shadowed or shadow them instead, in case a group of enemies pops out of the ether. Help them survive the initial burst, and do one of 3 things. Run away with or without them, kill the entire enemy team, or die trying. But you'll most likely win because fighters are a fair, balanced group of champions, and assassins, I guess, are something else. Finally, tanks. It's a walking shield. What is there left to say? But usually they're the ones to start fights, either by catching somebody out of position or being the ones out of position and just refusing to die like the chads they are. They are just big hit me signs. Since we all know how stupid the human brain is, they will hit the first thing in their faces. Use this as an opportunity to flank, kill, and spam emotes, since that was all you. 1v9, let's go. Now we are done with this idea of teamwork and coordination. Makes me sick to my stomach. You as an assassin need to understand assassination. I know it may sound redundant, but most people I see play assassins are less creative than they should be. They kill the ADC with their full combo, and they just leave the teamfight low in resources, but having 1 kill to their name. Understand me when I say this, you have one of the highest damage outputs and one of the best mobility in the game, and yet you choose to waste it. Let me explain it like this. You need to know what your team can dish out in terms of CC, damage, and zoning. A good Leona can zone out an ADC and a support all by herself, weirdly, but that's an opportunity for you. For those two are easy pickings, but you need to read the situation right. Do you have Ignite? Do you have your ultimate? Do you have an important active ability? And what do those two have? Do they have their summoners? Do they have CCs? Do they have any form of dashes, invincibility? Or do they even have more damage than you that they can kill you? And that amount of information is the bare minimum amount you need to know and you need to keep at the back of your head. But in a real big team fight, patience is your friend. But you don't wait too long to actually do something, as your damage is also very, very, very important. You can wait until everybody in the enemy team is low enough to try killing, but that requires something else, which is a great way to start talking about Sackat's definition of overkill. To ensure attacker cannot survive an engagement with you, to use slightly more damage required to kill. Sackat's definition of precision. To totally know how much damage you can deal, so that you can kill multiple targets in one attempt. Precisions for team fights and skirmishes, since you'll probably be needed to deal damage and get kills, and put it in a montage. I expect a montage on my desk on Monday. Overkill is used for finding enemies alone that you can kill or to make feel very bad because they're behind. Remember, League is a game of mental warfare, not about who can outsmart who. It's about how much mental abuse one can take in a match. Hashtag stay toxic, my friends. In this line of work, it's recommended you know how much damage your champion can deal to a point of meticulous monotony. As a Z player, I know I can kill a target with 250 armor, 300 HP with his main combo to ult to triple Q to a passive auto attack and an E. But that may be overkill. Understand now. But you may be saying to me, every champion needs to know how much damage they can do. To a point you're correct, but you lack vital details. Assassins are so ability reliant, they need to know when to use what and the timings of spells and cooldowns. And that brings me to another point.
My enemies. I'm not arrogant.
Using the right combo for the job. With this one, I can't even use generic information because different characters have different start, middles, and ends to their combos. Let's take Fizz, LeBlanc, Zed, and Kiana. That's 4 champions, very unliked, and champions I very much like. I know, I'm a bad cat. I'll talk about each of their main combo and lethal combo. Fizz can usually do this. Uses W, Q into auto attack into E, or the reverse of it. E, W, Q auto attack, but that greatly leaves him at a disadvantage since his E is his main ability to escape and close gaps, but it also deals his second to most damage. When he can kill, he can usually ult from a far position to get the second to the largest shark. He can then add an E for a slow and then WQ to finish off. After that, he's a sitting duck, since his E again is very important, but a good Fizz knows when they can use E with no punishments. LeBlanc can usually start with multiple auto attacks because she's ranged and can bully anyone she wishes. But for a trade, she can begin with E or W. Understand she must land a chain at some point during the combo. Press Q and let the chain pop, so the Q's damage also pops as well. And finally auto attack one more time, just because damage is good damage. When she can kill, she can use her ult first or last, but understand she needs to remember what she has cost prior to pressing ult. A double chain is for ganks, double Q is for quick damage, and a double W is to close the gap between her and her target, but it is also good for doing damage quickly. But a lethal combo cannot be easily boiled down for LeBlanc, she's very interesting like that. Play her how you want. Zed can usually start the trader with an EW, because if Zed is still in E animation whilst the shadow is flying out to the target location, it will also E. Then he must land both Qs for a full combo. Land your damn Qs. When he can kill, he can start with his main combo, jump to the shadow, then ult. Zed's ult will force him to auto attack. Then he can try land a triple Q into a passive auto attack. Then use his E if you have energy left, but try to run away if you see a shuriken above the target's head, since that means your ult popping will kill them. But his ult will not account for any shields or extra HP that is hidden. So be careful about that fact. Kiana can usually follow this formula for which element to use. Always start with a utility element like grass or water, then use earth. But the main combo is EQWQ. For more spice, add an auto attack
Great to be
after the
endless.
Q.
If only my entire family.
When she can kill, she can E, Alt, Q, Auto, W, Q, Auto. But with her Alt, I will add a special clause. If Kiana uses her Alt anytime in a combo, the element is irrelevant but should be different. Combos are one of the most fascinating parts of an assassin, since they need to achieve a goal every time one is used, either poke, minion denial, or murder. Some assassins do all three really well, or just okay. But it's knowing what you want in an assassin that will help you truly shine. Now for recommendations on champions for a certain player: Ahri, LeBlanc, and Akshan. Those three might not be the most conventional assassins since they're all ranged, so I do recommend them for ADC or support player willing to learn the role and champions, since they are ranged and easy to understand, researchable dashes, and are the prettiest in mid lane. Zed, Talon, and Yone are the three most known attack damage assassins, for a good reason. They teach you good principles such as poking, roaming, and farming, so they are difficult but not impossible to learn. Also, they fulfill the fantasy of cool, edgy assassins quite well. Any top laner and jungle wanting to start their mid lane career, these three are the best boys. Nocturne, Evelynn, and Diana. These three are sadly only for jungle, if you're a normal person, but they are amazing junglers to grasp, since they are not the hardest to understand, but they will teach you great map awareness and have great team fighting, and are one of the least selfish jungle assassins. I recommend mid laners who wish to jungle to try them out. Now for those I don't recommend you even touch, for your mental and your team's mental sake. Kha'Zix, Rengar, and Shaco are very difficult early game, needing you to have already wanting to put time and energy in them, and they play very, very selfishly. I love all three of them, but in good faith, I can't recommend them. Akali, Katarina, and Kiana. The three you will soon be more acquainted to, but honestly these three are a massive nope from me. They are the weakest assassins early game, with the weirdest and wildest combos and ways to kill. They are a mandatory one-trick champion, but honestly play what you want. But hey, that's just semantics. Oh, I see you've learned a lot today, but you and our program can fit so much knowledge. Sorry. I do hope you return for our next segment, the 3 Queens of Mid. Enjoy. Thanks you for watching.